Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
Lin Nelson is an American Grammy-nominated producer and songwriter with over 29 years' experience in the entertainment industry. She has worked for most of the major networks, labels, and film companies in the capacity of A&R, artist development, talent coordinator, producer, director, and associate producer. Some of her industry credits include working for the Grammys full-time for many years and working for MTV Talent Relations for many years on all their live events all over the world. She has worked with the major labels in A&R and talent relations on all major award shows, including the Grammys, MTV Video Music and Movie Awards, American Music Awards, Academy of Country Music Awards, CMT Music Awards, Billboard Awards, World Music Awards, Emmys, Oscars, People Choice Awards, Critic Choice Awards, Golden Globe Awards, SAG Awards, as well as talent relations with most major recording artists, actors, and actresses. Movie and TV credits include Miss Congeniality 1 and 2, Edward Scissorhands, 4 seasons on the Showtime original show The L Word, HBO Boxing, MTV and VH1 Talent Relations, ABC, Fox Sports, and ESPN Monday Night NFL Football. Lin is also a music producer and consultant for a variety of different recording artists. Up next on Celeb Savant, we've got Lin Nelson. Where in the world are you and how are you doing?
I'm in Seattle, Washington, and I'm doing great.
Fascinating journey in the creative and entertainment space. Let's start at the beginning. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you think, okay, I want to be in this world? And how did that journey progress?
Actually, I didn't start until I was 29. I grew up with music. Both of my parents were in music. My father sang with the Barbershop Quartet, and my mom sang with Sweet Adeline. So I was around music all the time, but I was also going to concerts since I was 12 years old. I was always into music. And I actually ended up being a Grammy nominee this year after 20 years in the business.
Congratulations. Amazing work. Well done. What did you do up till the age of 29?
I went to college and just worked odd jobs pretty much. Got a master's in psychology.
And did you practice that or not?
Actually, no, I didn't, but it's also helped a lot in this industry.
Yes, I'm sure. When you said that, I was like, I think maybe everyone needs to go study that to be in the industry.
Yeah, I actually did social psychology, so I can read people very well.
Then you were age 29. What were the first steps to be in the industry? How did you land into it?
It's a different story. I was driving bus for Greyhound, of all things, and I was injured on the job, and they told me I couldn't go back to driving because I had injured my right foot very badly. And I ended up having like 8 surgeries on my foot. So they asked me, well, what do you want to do? We'll pay for your retraining. And I said that I wanted to go into sound engineering school. So they sent me down to Florida at Full Sail. And it turned out that my music business teacher was chairman of the board of the Grammys. So him and I had some like really deep, good conversations about music. And one day I just said, I'd really love to go to the Grammys. And he arranged for me to go to the Grammys. And I was sitting down in the 10th row with all the nominees and all the major celebrities. So after that ended, I was sitting on the couch in Florida because I didn't leave Florida right away after school. And I was watching TV and the news came on and they said Pierre Cassette Productions is doing the production for the Grammy Awards. And so I thought, I'm going to call them and get a job. So I called them and asked them if they needed any interns. And they said, do you have any references? And I said, yeah, I do. And I gave him Al Schlesinger's name, who was my business teacher. And they called me back in 2 hours and they said, You have the most beautiful reference we have ever heard. When can you be to Los Angeles?
Oh, wow.
So I hopped on a plane and went to Los Angeles and interned in the production office for the Recording Academy. And afterwards, they hired me, and I worked for them for 15 years.
What exactly did you do there?
Basically, I worked in the awards department. Everyone thinks that the Grammys is a glamorous job, but basically, you're sitting in front of a computer and you're inputting in that time in CDs because that's what the was at the time being, and because they have to go what they call through screening meetings to make sure the music is in the right category. This year for the Grammys, there was 30,000 entries.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine how many that we had to input into the computer and then arrange in the categories for screening. But it was great for me because I got to work with Ahmet Ertegun and all the bunch of the label heads in Los Angeles. And I grew my network all these years. And so I have a really good network of people.
You worked there for 15 years. What surprised you about being in the Grammy office that you didn't realize would be part of it, and a lot of people don't know is actually part of it?
All the work that goes on behind the scenes. I think when people hear Grammy Awards, they think of the show, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Like we start the day after the show for the next year. So it's like an ongoing process from next day until the next show, and it just keeps repeating itself.
What did you love about being part of that energy and buzz of the awards?
I just loved being in that environment and doing what I do. I learned a lot of things. I learned how the music industry worked. I also learned the business of the industry, the management, all these different specifics that go on behind the scenes, which has now benefited me a lot.
Okay, so let's go into that. So you worked at the Grammys for 15 years. What were the next steps?
Well, I got tired of working for someone. I was tired of the 9 to 5 job, and I had made enough contacts in the industry where I decided I wanted to be freelance. So I think it was 1994. No, it was later than that. I can't remember the exact date, but I decided I wanted to go freelance. And I went out on my own in the business, doing the business, working with artists, helping them through the process of getting their stuff, music submitted, what they needed to do. There wasn't much social media then, but they had to market themselves. That's what I did, was help people get their music into the Grammys to get nominated, hopefully.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So what is a process? So if an artist came to you today and said, I'd like to get potentially my work nominated, what would those steps be?
Well, first of all, the most major thing is having good music. And then you basically want to market yourself so people know who you are. And one of the main things to do is touring. You want to tour, get yourself known everywhere, as many places as you can, basically. And then in these days, you hire a social media person to do your promotion for you. It was really hard in the beginning because there was really no social media.
Yes.
And no streaming. So people had to work really hard to get their music out there. And I was part of that because I had the contacts.
So getting it out into radio, all those different elements you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously also being on MTV, being interviewed by radios, magazines and that. And now that social media is in play, I suppose it's more in the artist's control of getting out there and being able to do it in a much easier fashion than before social media.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, there's some artists that don't want to put in the work. They want other people to do it for them. You have to an artist has to put in the work.
Pitch up, be on time, be ready, all those different things.
Yeah, and get out on the road and showcase your music.
And have you been doing this freelance work since you left the Grammys? This is your main role.
No, actually, I have been producing music. I produce electronic dance music. I also like to mix genres. I also did management, which I didn't do for very long because some artists were like, why am I not famous? And that was like the next day. Like, why am I not famous? It's like, well, it doesn't happen overnight. So I kind of got tired of that, but I think I found my niche right now is producing, writing.
Okay, so before we get into that, so how long did you do artist management for? Was it a couple of months, couple of years?
No, a couple of years.
Okay.
But again, I didn't really like it.
Yes.
It was more of an annoying job than a fun job. You have to be a different person, I think, to be a manager.
Sounds like it, yes. Your main focus now is songwriting, producing, all these different elements. How did your journey land up into that space? Was it a natural progression, or was it like, oh, I want to do this now?
It was a, oh, I want to do this now moment.
Okay.
I was like with other people, running around with other people and they're doing it. And I'm like, I can do this. I know enough about music to write a song or produce a song. So I dived into it and here I am, a Grammy nominee.
Well, congratulations. So how long have you been doing the songwriting and producing for?
Oh, geez, probably about at least 10, 11 years now.
Oh, okay, okay. So this is your main focus. So do you collaborate with a whole bunch of different artists? Do you focus on with one artist?
I work with one producer who's actually from South Africa. He lives in Zurich, Switzerland right now. We've been working together for 10 years and we've been producing all kinds of music. I like to mix up genres of music. We're working on an EDM country song right now. That's the kind of stuff that I do now, pretty much.
Do you find it's easier now to mix genres in these days than when you started 10 years ago?
Yes, but I wish I would have had the idea 10 years ago.
Do you think people would have been open to it though?
Some people would have. I mean, look at Taylor Swift. She's crossed over to pop,
Yes. Yeah. I do feel though,
So,
like it's more of a current thing the last 5, 8 years. I think pre to that, it was very much you're in this box. You're a country artist means you create country. You dance artist means you create dance. There's still a bit of that, people trying to box others now, but it's much more
right.
open.
It is more open. Everyone's doing it now, honestly. I mean, I have people now wanting to collaborate with me from jazz, from classical to a whole bunch of other genres of music. I did a classical hip hop gospel song with Tracy Braxton, who's Tony Braxton's sister. We got rave reviews for that song. We did it with a 6-time Grammy nominated rapper. It turned out to be a really good song.
So you collaborate with this ex-South African producer in Zurich who connects you with all these artists. Am I understanding correctly?
I connected him with all these artists.
Oh, I understand. And then you worked. Okay, I get it. I get it.
No, he's really a great guy, and I wouldn't work with. I mean, I've worked with other people, but he's the easiest person to work with. And so we've had a good partnership for 10 years.
What's his name?
His artist's name is Ancient Astronaut, and his name is Nathaniel Gary Raby.
What do you love about creating cross-genre music?
Because it's different, and I try not to do what everybody else is doing. I've always been different. So I try to do different things.
And obviously, getting into a room with a new artist that you haven't collaborated with before, do you guys take time to sit and relax to get to know each other, or do you dive straight into the creative process?
No, we take a little bit of time. We have lunch or hang out, or I already know them. It's people that I know that are really just coming to me right now. It's a lot easier.
Well, yeah, because it's already that relationship is there and built. So it's that trust that's really in that collaboration.
Yeah.
You were nominated for a Grammy first time this year for?
I was a producer on a 6-time Grammy-nominated artist single in jazz performance.
And that was for?
Oh, Lakeisha Benjamin.
And what does it feel like now being nominated compared to being behind the scenes all those years ago? Was it a full circle motion feeling?
No, you just explained it. You just said the word. For me, having worked at the Recording Academy and then getting nominated, it's almost full circle. When I get the Grammy, then it's full
Yes.
circle.
When it's on your pedestal, let's put that out there.
Yeah. I have a friend, he hand makes all the Grammys, and he told me that he would make me a special one. So
Are those Grammys handmade? All of
yes,
them?
they're handmade.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that.
There's a secret process which I cannot reveal.
I know it's all very secretive in your guys' world. What can you tell us is coming up?
Before the Grammys, there was like 200 parties. It's called Grammy Week, and there's like so many parties and stuff, and I'm still trying to recover from that pretty much.
And in the release of music, any things that you can tell us are coming up?
Yeah, we have almost 2 albums ready for the EDM category, but we're also going to release the EDM country track when it's done. It's almost finished. And then we're doing 2 Latin tracks for the Latin Grammys, which are EDM with Latin music.
And are you allowed to tell us who the artists are that you're collaborating with or not yet?
Well, actually, my co-producer is the artist. I have been talking to him for like 10 years, telling him that he should become the artist instead of being the producer. So now he's got a pretty good following in Europe. And he's going on tour in Europe this summer. So I'm really happy I finally pushed him to do it. He's got this elaborate suit that's got lasers all over it. He's got a mask, and it's really something to watch, actually.
I still love me a CD. I still budget for my CDs. For me, it's an energy exchange. Thank you to you guys for all the hard work that you do. I'm unsure if you are or not aware, there's a massive uptick of physical around the world. I know in the UK, US, I actually saw an article in Variety last week that last year in the US, $1.4 billion on vinyl, the biggest since 1983. Last year in the UK, there's a basket of products that they gauge exchanges on, and there needs to be a high number of traction every day. And because of the upsurge of CDs again, CDs are now back in the basket. And the research is showing that it's the teenagers actually diving into this world, not the older nostalgic people. And then we have Spotify also that people listen to music on. What are your observations of the industry at the moment?
Well, what you said about vinyl, everyone I know is doing vinyl now. I just went to an event down in Los Angeles for a vinyl release of an album. So everyone's on the vinyl train now, pretty much. Not so much about the CDs. I haven't heard a lot about that, but I do know a lot of people do CDs, because I know a lot of people tell me, I don't know what to do with my old CD player. So, I'm just telling artists, might as well either make a vinyl or a CD, because people will listen to it. And I have a trick, which I probably should not say, but during the Grammys, I take whatever artists I'm working with and I'll leave their music on the tables in the venue.
No, that's,
So
yeah,
people can,
like
so
a business
people
card.
can grab them,
Yeah.
when they're walking out. Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great idea. And what are your thoughts on the streaming world?
I think the streaming world should pay the artists more, and I think that everyone should leave Spotify, actually.
Okay, interesting.
Hey, I mean, 3 cents per stream. If they pay you 3 cents, then you're not making a lot of money on Spotify, for sure. Some of them, they give you the full revenue. I'm not real familiar with which ones, but I always recommend people don't use Spotify, even though it's the biggest platform.
Do you think...
And there's some political stuff going on with Spotify too that other people don't like.
Exactly. Do you think that the listening audience should have more of an understanding I'll explain to you why. So I teach spinning classes. And before 3 of my classes, I decided to do a focus group. It was a group of 10 people, a group of 8 people, and a group of 3 people. Cross age, cross diverse, cross cultures, mainly listen to music on Spotify or streaming. And I said to each of the groups, I said to them, if an artist has had 100 million streams, how much money do they think the artist got in their pocket? The first group of people said $50 million. The second group of people said $1 million. The third group of people said $300,000 to $20 million. And I said to all of them, no, it's more like 1,000 or 2,000. And they were actually quite shocked and horrified. I do know Ray, Snoop Dogg, a bunch of different artists are speaking out about it. I have heard, though, a bunch of artists say that they use it as a business card. They see that they played a lot in Spain, in Canada, and in South Africa, for example. So they know, okay, they can go tour there. What are your thoughts around this whole conversation?
Well, just me personally, I don't use Spotify,
Okay.
or I use a distribution for other ones, and it all goes around the world. But I have a business guy that keeps up on all how much money comes in, and it's not a lot. And I don't think that that's right, because yeah, the artists get their music out there, but they also should be paid. They're already paying monthly to have their music
Yes.
distribute. So I don't advise people, but you have to do it anyway, because that's the only thing really available right now. A radio still pay to play as well. So a lot of artists don't have a lot of money unless you're a major artist, and then your label's paying for it.
You're saying that in order for a radio station to play an artist, you have to pay the radio station for that. They won't just play the music.
That's pretty much what it is still. It's always been, even though it's not supposed to be done anymore.
So there's these gatekeepers in all the different ways.
It's also who you know. If you know a DJ or somebody, you know, they'll
Yeah.
definitely play your music. So what I advise people to do is get their music started out on college stations, because if the college stations go viral, then the radio stations will pick it up and you don't have to pay.
For any artist who's just starting out now, what advice would you give them?
Just keep their nose to the ground and grind, because it takes a lot to get yourself out there right now. And if you have the money, hire a marketing and branding team.
And also
A lot of artists don't have a budget.
Yes.
But there's also ways to make money. You can also sell your merch and your music on your website. Definitely need a website. So I know someone that made $500,000 just selling off of his website.
Oh,
So
wow.
it is doable.
And then that can be reinvested into part of it, into the brand and to the music and so forth.
Right. And making new music.
Lynn, I know if I had to ask you this question tomorrow or the next day, I know your answer will be different every time. I'm not saying favorites, because there's too many for favorites. If once we finish this conversation, you want to push play to 5 artists, who would those artists or bands be?
Well, one of my new favorite ones is, even though they're not really a band, is Huntrix. I got to meet them at the Oscars this year, and they're really nice women. Gaga's a friend of mine. I love her music. When I first heard it, I kind of didn't like it, but then I went to one of her shows, and that was a whole different story. One of my friends used to babysit her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Pink is another one of my favorite. Lacuna Coil actually is one of my favorites, who's a heavy metal band from Milan, Italy. This is going to sound kind of funny, but I'm in the music industry. I hear so much music that sometimes I love the silence. There's a new meaning for me. Silence is golden.
I've heard that from people in the industry.
When you're around music all the time, you sometimes need a break. And my mind, just like, I'm still brain dead from the parties here. I haven't recovered from, the Grammys, the Oscars, or those shows. So my mind's just kind of like not working at the moment.
That's okay. Are there literally, like, for the Grammys leading up to it, so many events and so many parties?
Yeah, basically they're FYC parties, even though you're not supposed to do them, but they get branded as different parties, like meetups. there's several artists that have them, Grammy winners, friends of mine who have them anyway. Everywhere there's a party in LA during Grammy week. I mean, I start at 10 in the morning. I don't get home until 2 in the morning. That's how many parties there are for for the whole weeks.
And you just go from one to the next to the next.
Yeah. And
Wow.
sometimes after the Grammys, I don't even get home until the next day because there's so many label parties and artist parties. And like one year I hung out with Motorhead, and we went up on Hollywood. We hit every single bar on Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset. I didn't get home until noon the next day.
So it's understandable why you're still recovering.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably takes me, I just got back home actually, and it takes me at least 2 weeks to fully recover from the Grammys, the Oscars, all those shows.
I'm sure.
And parties.
So, Lin, the podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message to the audience, what would you like to say?
Never give up. Focus, passion, and never give up. That's the key to success.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.